let's get back to reacting to your takes following Syracuse's loss to Tennessee. And let's go to Michael right here. Michael says, things are looking up. This team never quits. Yes and no, okay? You are 100% right, Michael, about the team not quitting. And that is something that I have noticed about Fran Brown through now 14 games as the Syracuse football head coach. His players definitely play for him. Like, no doubt. They play hard for him. You never have to really worry about them giving up. I've never once on this podcast ever felt like, man, they're not giving max effort here. These guys care. They play for their head coach, and they do respond to their head coach. So you're right. This team, they don't quit. They were down 17-0 to Tennessee. They could have easily thrown in the towel and lost this game 59-0. I'm sure a lot of Tennessee fans thought that that's what might happen. But no, they stayed the course. They got better as the game went on. But unfortunately, you dig yourself a 17-0 hole. It's hard to come back from. So you're right, Michael. This team does not quit. But as far as things looking up, I can say that about the offense. You know, they put up 4 touchdowns against a very good Tennessee defense. In fact, Tennessee last year, okay, Syracuse scored 26 points. How many times do you think Tennessee let up 26 or more last year? 2 times. Those 2 teams that did it, Georgia and Ohio State. This Syracuse offense is going to be fine. I have no worries really or no concerns about the Syracuse offense in general. The special teams as well. We talked about that post-game. Shout out new coordinator Ricky Brumfield because the special teams didn't notice him. And that's a good thing. I don't want to notice the special teams. The punts were fine. All the extra points they attempted were fine. We haven't yet seen them really attempt a field goal this season. So I guess to be determined on that front. But for the most part, special teams was great too. Offense was fine. Wasn't perfect. We'll get to that later on in the podcast. Those 2 things I would say are looking up for Syracuse. The defense is not looking good. I understand that Tennessee's a good team. I understand that Tennessee has a lot of talent, more talent than Syracuse football, but I did not see Syracuse really make any plays on defense, and I'm not really inspired by that defensive performance. Let's at least go through the first half for Tennessee here in their drives. Field goal, 7 plays, 59 yards. Touchdown, 12 plays, 85 yards. Fumble, which was off a missed exchange in the red zone. So that's not Syracuse forcing Tennessee into a mistake. That's Tennessee having a miscue in Syracuse's red zone. And that's why, yes, Tennessee did have a scoop and score, which falls on the offense directly after Syracuse had, I guess, technically forced a turnover. But I'm not going to sit here and let the defense off the hook for those 7 points because those 7 points would have been scored by Tennessee had they not had a simple misexchange there. That wasn't Syracuse forcing the issue and making a play. That was Tennessee making a mistake on a handoff. Banking on your opponent to consistently make mistakes on handoffs is not a good recipe to succeed if you are Syracuse football on defense. So that was the third drive of the game. That was going to be a touchdown, but it turned into a fumble. But don't worry, the next drive was 2 plays, 75 yards. That was Braylon Staley's deep post beating Demetrius Samuel. I don't know why there wasn't any safety help. Then finally, there's a punt. Finally, Syracuse's defense. And then the 6th drive was, of course, the 47-yard run by Deshaun Bishop, breaking a couple tackles, which led to a touchdown. So 3 touchdowns, a field goal, a fumble in the red zone, in a punt in the first half of this defense. Not very good. And I get that Tennessee is good. I mean, come on now. You can't make one play. Second half, the defense got better. They did force a few punts, 3 to be exact, but it's just too little too late. And they still allowed 2 touchdowns. I understand that Steve Angeli had an interception, which set Tennessee up in the red zone, and they scored a touchdown on that. But if you're the Syracuse defense, you don't have to compound the mistakes here. You are allowed to step up and actually make a play on defense. And that's really my biggest issue with the defense here, is the lack of making any plays. I look at Tennessee and their turnovers that they forced. They forced those turnovers. They earned them. That scoop and store, I understand that Angeli doesn't have two hands on the ball, but you know what? Tennessee took advantage of that and knocked the ball loose. And if Steve Angeli does have two hands on the ball, it's just a sack, which is a negative play. Syracuse had no sacks in the game on Joey Aguilar. We'll get to that later on in the show. So that's Tennessee forcing the issue on Syracuse. And then the interception, I don't put on Steve Angeli. I think it was Jalen McMurray batting the ball out of the air. It was a great play that he made. Dan Villari was open, by the way, in the right flat. Syracuse had been doing that a number of times. Tennessee had finally kind of snuffed it out, and yet Dan Villari is still open. But Jalen McMurray gets his hand on the football. He jumps up in the air. And then I forgot the linebacker that came in and actually made the interception. But the point being is that that's Tennessee stepping up and making plays on defense. With Syracuse's defense, I didn't see them really forcing the issue or making any sort of plays. It felt like any time they really got to stop, it was Tennessee making a mistake or Tennessee not really executing. Is that talent? Part of it is on talent. Part of it is on coaching. And part of it is also on lack of execution on Syracuse's end. So overall, back to the overall point here, offense looking good, special teams looking good, defense not good at all. Let's get into the next one here. This is too many mistakes and penalties on offense. Need to be a lot better on defense. Thank you so much for the comment there. We've already talked a lot about the defense, and we've been pretty critical so far here on Locked On Syracuse about this defense. But we can talk about the offense a little. They were not perfect by any means, not perfect. The penalties, actually not much of a problem. I disagree with you on this one. You look at the stats, Syracuse as a team had 4 penalties for 30 yards in this game. One of those penalties came on a 4th down before they were about to punt the football. They got a delay of game penalty. So that's 3 other penalties for 25 yards. They did have one really bad penalty where it was the first drive of the game for Syracuse football, and they're starting to move the ball down the field on Tennessee. Looks like they might get at least a field goal on the drive. Maybe they do get 6 on the drive as well. But they have an illegal shift penalty. And it kills the whole drive. Now, I can live with that because as a team, they did not commit a lot of penalties. So I'm not too worried about it. I thought for the most part, Syracuse played a disciplined game on offense. As far as the offensive line is concerned, because up until this point, of all this post-game coverage that we've done, we have not talked really about the offensive line, so we can address it now. Tennessee's front is just better. Okay? We talked about it at length heading into the game, that this Tennessee front is not only really experienced, which is important to have, continuity. Syracuse's offensive line's brand new. They have no continuity up until now, I guess. They have one game finally under their belt. So Tennessee's more experienced, and they're also really talented. They're really, really good. You go look at their recruiting profiles. There's a reason why they are playing for Tennessee in the SEC. They are really, really excellent up front. Some of their plays that they made were just because they were better. At times, I felt the offensive line got flat out fooled, flat out miscommunication, not picking up free rushers. An example was on Syracuse's second drive of the game. It's a 3rd and 9 play at their own 36-yard line. There's about 3-ish minutes left in the first quarter. And Steve Angeli just gets destroyed by Arian Carter. He was untouched. Steve Angeli had absolutely no chance. Look, you got to give credit to defensive coordinator over there for Tennessee and Tim Banks. At the same time, it's a free rusher right in Steve Angeli's face. That's something that needs to be corrected moving forward. I can live with their front simply being better. I can live with that. If they're going to beat our guys one-on-one, you know what? They just have better players. What do you want us to do? We need better players then. Fine. I can live with that. But free rushers in Steve Angeli's face, that doesn't need to happen. Arian Carter's already good enough. Arian Carter's already going to the NFL. Okay? We don't need to give Arian Carter free reign to the quarterback here. Okay, let him beat an offensive lineman before he touches Steve Angeli. If he beats an offensive lineman, so be it. The offensive line gets beat. In that scenario, you can't have free rushers.